All right, we are live. How's everybody doing? Well, I'm going to wait a few minutes while some people log on and get settled onto this live stream. If you're already tuned in, I cannot see if you are tuned in because I have my wonderful friend, John MacArthur, behind the camera over here, socially distanced, and he's going to be behind the scenes, keeping me posted. He's going to make the transition to the music video in a little bit. As you can see, we are in the Greenhouse recording studio, and we are up in Guilford, New Hampshire right now. This is where Wildflower was recorded for the single, as well as this property is where this music video was shot, which is very exciting. I'm going to take a few minutes right now to give you an explanation of how this song came to be, what was the inspiration for it. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the pre-production process and how that worked during a pandemic and how I worked with my producer, Brad Myrick, to create this project. I'm going to share a little bit about why I chose this single as my first single after my Phoenix album, which came out last year, and how this song is a bit different from my previous music that you have heard. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to have you here. It is a gift and a privilege to have you tuning in. I am honored to share with you this music video and this song. It means so much to me, and I can't wait for you to hear it. I'm going to dive in now and give you a little background on Wildflower. I wrote this song, I would say about a year ago, and I was going for a walk, and I was in a neighborhood that was really beautiful. It had a lot of perfect homes with their white picket fences and their beautiful gardens and their perfectly trimmed shrubbery. And as I was walking along the sidewalk, I hit a patch of pavement that was really cracked and broken and worn down. And in one of those cracks, there was this dandelion. And this dandelion was just blossoming. It was huge. It was flourishing. It was vibrant and bright. And I just stopped and paused for a moment as I thought about how contradictory these two scenarios were. I've got on one side of this fence, this pruned, perfect garden that everyone knows the neighbors are going to love, and it's meant to look a certain way aesthetically and be welcoming and show, I don't know, things like, I take care of my garden and I care about the aesthetics of my home and everything needs to be perfect. And then on the other side of the fence, you have this flower, this wildflower, just finding a way to thrive in a really tough situation, if you think about it, growing up in the midst of pavement and being exactly who they were meant to be, just as they were. And I loved that concept. I loved that analogy. At the time, I was really thinking about what it meant to be a full-time musician. I had quit my nannying job. I'd become a full-time musician. I had moved out of my apartment and was staying with friends and family. So everything that I was doing felt very countercultural. And this little dandelion represented that for me. And that was the birth of this idea for a song. And Wildflower is really an anthem of empowerment. It's about freedom. It's about liberation. It's about being exactly who you are meant to be, whether or not society agrees with you or your family and friends understand why you're doing it. And just being willing to authentically thrive and show up. And by doing that, what you have the opportunity to do is create change for other people and hope for other people and solidarity for other people and connection for other people. So this kind of leads into my second point before we play the music video, which is why I chose this song. I think this song really represents transition. It represents change. It represents stepping into something new and stepping outside of the box. And musically, that's the direction that I'm headed in as well. I don't know if any of you have listened to Wildflower earlier today when it came out on Spotify or on iTunes or wherever you stream your music, but the song is a pretty big departure from my last album. Phoenix was raw. It was stripped down. It was just my guitar and my vocals and really authentic, vulnerable lyrics. This song keeps that singer-songwriter feel, that authenticity and that vulnerability, However, it incorporates full production. I worked with an amazing producer, Brad Myrick, out of Concord, and he and I spent a couple months really digging into what the sound of this song was going to be, how we were going to embody this transition from a singer-songwriter to more of a folk pop sound. I've shared on a couple interviews that this song really was meant to sound like a mix between a Maggie Rogers and her modern synth pop feel, meeting that of a band like The Head and the Heart or Mumford and Sons or the Lumineers with that grassroots folk sound. So it's kind of this mix between the two, which is really the direction that I want to take my music in. I want to create songs and experiences for people that incorporate this modern pop sound while still feeling grounded in that authenticity and vulnerability of a singer-songwriter. So Brad and I started talking about this song back in January, and then we got hit with a pandemic and things kind of got sidetracked a bit as we tried to navigate this new normal we were all living in quarantine. And come around May, I started reaching out to the greenhouse, to John, who's working behind the scenes to help this process go smoothly tonight. I started talking with Brad about producing this song and how we could make it work to create something really special and unique and learn how to, just like the song talks about, thrive in the midst of a situation where it's really hard to thrive. And we did a lot of Zoom conversations back and forth. We shared files on Google Drive, and eventually I was able to, after making sure I was quarantined safely enough, I was able to come up to the greenhouse recording studio, and Brad came and we worked together and we figured out how to make it work in the midst of a pandemic and with socially distancing, and created this really beautiful and exciting song. And I can't wait for you to hear it. So without further ado, I'm so happy you tuned in, and I am going to turn you over to this music video right now that John's going to play for you, and it's called Wildflower, and I hope you love it. Take a look. Cut your grass and grow your garden. Don't forget to pull the dandelions. I grow in the cracks along the pavement. Don't talk to me, you'll break your mother's back if you try. It's so hard pruning roses. Wonder if the neighbors even notice. Cut your finger trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm a wildflower. I'm the daisies in her hair. I'm a wildflower. I color the world. I think that's why I'm here. I'm the vine along the fences. Find the beauty in the hidden places. Flourish so that those you disregard know what fate is. I'm a wildflower. I'm the daisies in her hair. I'm a wildflower. I color the world. I think that's why I'm here. Bring on the rain. Bring on the rain. Bring on the rain. Bring on the rain. Blossom through the storm, scattered by the wind. Thunder rolling in, being as I am. I'm a wildflower. I'm the daisies in her hair. I'm a wildflower. I color the world. I think that's why I'm here. I color the world. I'm not going anywhere. Bottom left. Good. Hi, friends. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm really excited to share it with you. I stepped off this stool while I was playing to go look at your comments, and I feel so loved by all the people that are tuned in right now. So thank you for that. Before we wrap up, we're going to do a bit of a Q&A. So if there are any questions that you have either about the song, about being a musician during COVID, about the production of the music video, anything that you want to know about me, my music, and kind of the trajectory that we're on, please comment, and John's going to read those to me. So he's going to relay the information, and I'll do my best to answer any that you have. There might be a slight lag, so I'm going to keep talking for a moment while you type, but there's no question too small, too big, too deep, too silly to ask. So feel free to shoot them out there.
Did it actually rain during the shoot?
Did it rain during the shoot? Did it look like rain? No, it did not actually rain. John, who's sitting over there, he had a hose and he got to spray me with a hose. I'm sad we don't have documentation of that. But because of the way the wind was going, and also because of the way the clouds were kind of overcast while we were shooting, it worked pretty perfectly that the wind made it look like it was pretty authentic in the rain department. So that was really good. Any others? I just got the keep going. So yeah, like I said, if you have any other questions, I'd like to know. I also will tell you about some exciting things as you think of your questions. I have a really exciting show on this Thursday here at the Greenhouse at the recording studio. It's going to be outside here, and it's a release concert. So if you are interested in learning more about that, it's a private event, but if you shoot my Facebook page a message, if you're interested, I can connect with you on that. I also have a really exciting show down in Massachusetts on Saturday at Tangerini's Spring Street Farm. As of yesterday, there were only 4 tickets available for that event, and that one includes tapas, music, and then there's also wine, beer, and a specialty cocktail for sale at that event. So if you want to know more, you can either go to my Facebook events and check that out there, or you can go to my website, which is kimayomusic.com, and click on the show's link.
So Fred wants to know what you're working on next.
What am I working on? That's a great, wait, that was Fred? Mm-hmm. Hi, Fred and Peggy and everyone else. This is so fun. I am working on, actually, I talked with Brad, my producer, today, and we are already in the works on my next single. So I'm still going to continue in that trajectory of that folk pop sound, and mixing the modern with the grassroots feel. And I've got a new single that we will start production on pretty much right after the final release show for Wildflower. So I've got more projects coming, definitely.
So Sophia wants to know, what was something about the process that caught you by surprise? Anything unexpected?
Something about the process that caught surprise. I learned a lot. It was really great working with Brad. I didn't have any concept of what pre-production really was. And in working with him and having him ask me questions or giving me homework assignments to really get clear on what I envisioned for this song, I started to realize and understand how to figure out the perfect sound for a song and figure out the tempo and the beats and to listen to music differently. So when I listen to a track now by an artist, when they come out with something, Miley Cyrus just came out with Midnight Sky. And when I listened to that, instead of just listening to the song as a whole, I started picking apart the different pieces to understand how she made it. So that was a really cool evolution in how I understand music. Being sprayed by a hose was pretty fun. I don't know if I learned anything there, but it was quite exciting. And working with a producer, I keep mentioning, but that was a really great experience. I'd also say I learned how to thrive in the midst of difficult situations. I think it would have been really easy to not create something during COVID and let that be an excuse to stay stagnant. And instead, because of these amazing people that I've been working with and awesome friends and family, I found myself able to move forward and move through COVID and figure out what it looks like to flourish in the midst of it.
So Allie wants to know how long it took you to shoot the video.
That's a great question. How long did it take to shoot the music video? Initially, actually, we weren't even supposed to do an outdoor shoot. We were supposed to do the music video in this room, and it was just going to be like my Phoenix acoustic sessions music video that I did, where I was sitting and playing guitar and do a studio shoot. And when Ryan Ordway, he's the videographer on this, when he heard the song, he got kind of inspired and excited and said, hey, what if we just switch it up entirely? I'd love to do something that's outside, that incorporates nature and really embodies what this song talks about. So the day of the shoot, the day before the shoot, we decided to change and switch to it being an outdoor shoot. Ryan showed up in the afternoon. We were finishing recording still on the song, and we went out into the field behind the recording studio, and we maybe 2 hours of nonstop just taking take after take after take. And we ended with the rain scene because obviously I got all wet at the end. So we ended the shoot with that one.
So Lance wants to know, can you get a socially distanced autograph?
Socially distanced autograph. That's a great question. Probably yes. So if you are able to come to either of my shows, I will happily sign things. I've got new shirts that I'm really excited about that I'll be selling at my shows. And I also have a new website that has an online store. So maybe I'll add a feature that allows you to add on a request for a signature.
So like this, how did you learn those sick dance moves?
Who asked that question?
Sherry Lynn.
Sherry, how did I learn those sick dance moves? That's a great question. I don't know that I have an answer. I just feel the music, just let the rhythm sink into your bones.
And Fred wants to know how you feel about Cocker Spaniels in your next video.
Dogs in my next video. I don't know if it'll go with the feel or the theme of that song that I have next. However, that's not out of the question for the future.
So Ashley wants to know, Michael wants to know if Grammy's Garden had any influence other than the dandelion.
Did Grammy's Garden have any influence? Grammy's Garden made a lot of debuts in the promotion of Wildflower. So if you followed my Instagram stories at all, there were many pictures and videos that I posted from my mom's house where I spent most of quarantine and still spend much of quarantine when I'm not here. And there were lots of clips of her flowers. And actually her garden was really great when I was trying to think about how to do promo for this song. I really tapped into the meaning of flowers and the symbolism of flowers and wanted to use that as a creative way to engage the audience and teach people too. So in not so direct ways, yes, Grammy's Garden played a role in Wildflower.
So how was it going from raw and acoustic to working with other instruments? Lance wants to know.
That's a great question. How did I switch from raw acoustics to using other instruments? Well, thankfully, my producer is well versed in all of these other instruments, and I didn't have to be. On this song, actually, the only thing I do is sing. I really wanted to level up in the production and the experience of the song. And I know that I have a lot to learn on guitar. So when I perform it live, obviously I'll be playing. However, on this song, I really wanted quality musicians. So Brad did a lot of this instrumentation. We did a ton of pre-production time. And for people that don't know what that means, it was sitting down and basically writing all of the parts ahead of time. And Brad did a lot of that. There's a lot of synth on this song and a lot of like programs that are used. So the drums are not real drums. That's a program. The rain stick in the song is real. John did that. He's behind me, and I borrowed that from my aunt. So the rain stick was a real instrument. The guitars were real instruments. The bass was real. But a lot of it was also done on a programming kit, which gave it that really cool, ethereal nature sound that you hear when you listen. These are great questions. Thanks for asking.
So Brad wants to know what other music is inspiring you.
Ooh, like artists. Okay, so what artists have I been listening to? So that's a great question. I've been listening to a band called the East Pointers a lot. I've been listening to a lot of pop music lately, actually. I did listen to the new, I mentioned it earlier, but the new Miley Cyrus song. I've been trying to be really eclectic in what I listen to so that I can understand and hear how other people create their music. So I can't necessarily give you names of artists or specific songs, but I've been really varied in what I've listened to. Just earlier today, I went for a run and I listened to Julia Michaels, and I was listening to some Sam Smith. I was listening to The Head and the Heart. I mentioned the East Pointers. Some Katy Perry sometimes, and George Ezra. So a good variety. I try to span across the genres.
What was the most fun part of making the video?
The most fun? I don't know if I can do a fun, I mean, the rain scene was really fun. I will tell you a really weird, awkward thing that happened though. When we were recording, we were doing one of the takes, and we had to stop partway through one of the takes because we were out in the field. And so there's this really tall grass and the flowers are really high and it's kind of dusk. So there's lots of bugs. And I turned to Ryan, the videographer, during the shoot. And I said, hey, can we stop? We need to stop filming because a beetle just went down my underwear. And sure enough, a beetle went down my jumper and into my pants. And I had to pull a beetle out of my clothing. So that was the most interesting part of recording.
When are you going to tour in Colorado?
Sherry's asking that. When will I tour in Colorado? When will I tour at all is the preliminary question. And that really has to do a lot with, obviously, safety and health with COVID. That said, I have a lot of plans for next year musically, and I've got a lot of exciting ways that I want to invite people to shows once it's safe. So a tour will definitely be in the future. I also want to do it really well and create a great experience for you guys as viewers and as listeners. So you'll have to stay tuned.
And a follow-up question, if you were a flower, what flower would you be?
That's a great question. If I were a flower, what flower? Of course, that was Sherry. What flower would I be? So my favorite flower is the iris. And the meaning of the iris is to have a message. And so I've always loved this flower. I think it's really beautiful. It's unique. And the color is really vibrant. It's the Japanese iris, so it's a little bit more simple. But I would probably be an iris. It's unique. It's vibrant. It smells good. It's pretty. and the meaning of it's pretty cool.
This one's personal. Where'd you get the sweet jumper?
The sweet jumper. I shop at thrift shops, so I have no idea what store this is from, but this is from a thrift shop, and this undershirt is, I think, Facebook Marketplace. So I apologize, but if I ever buy anything brand new from a store, I'll be sure to post about it.
Sophia wants to know, what advice would you give a new artist beginning their journey in professional music?
That's a great question. Sophia asked what advice I would give to a new artist pursuing music. First and foremost, I would say have confidence in yourself and believe in yourself. You don't need to believe 100%, but get clear about what your vision is and wholeheartedly believe in what your vision is. How that's actualized, I think, can change and what that looks like, but to get clear about your vision. So for me, that's to cultivate connection and solidarity and hope. And there's different ways that I can actualize that, but I'm clear that that's my vision. I would also say practice a lot. I would say surround yourself with other talented people so that you can grow. I would definitely encourage asking for feedback. That has been a huge help for me. Anytime that I have a show and there's someone there that I trust as a musician or as someone that understands the music world, I'm constantly saying, hey, can you give me your feedback? How can I improve? And it's not a judgment of whether or not I've failed, but it's an opportunity for growth and getting better. So I would say that. And then lastly, I'd say invest in yourself. Be willing to show up for yourself in a way that shows that you believe in what your vision is.
So Ian says, my 3-year-old daughter Evie wants to know how you look so healthy. You said you were glowing. How do you stay so fly?
How do I stay so fly and healthy? I've been on a long journey when it comes to health. For those of you that know don't know my story, a lot of my 20s or the beginning of my 20s were spent battling an eating disorder, actually. So I've spent a lot of time figuring out what health looks like for me. I am a vegan. That has nothing to do with my eating disorder. That's just because it's what feels healthy for me body-wise as well as morally. So I eat a lot of vegetables and I like a lot of vegetables and I cook a lot of really fun meals. I like to exercise and I'm not perfect at it, but I'm constantly learning what it's like to do self-care, to spend time breathing and with myself and out in nature and growing my faith and understanding more of like the holistic aspects of health, not just exercise and food.
So you don't have to answer this, but who's your favorite sibling?
My favorite sibling? Did Catherine ask that or Ashley?
Katie.
Katie. Oh, hi, Katie. I'm going to forego that question because there's beautiful qualities in all of my siblings and my, what is it? In-law? How do you, steps? No. What would you call it when someone's married to your sibling? In-laws. That's the one. Duh. I love all of you. I think you're wonderful and you have different characteristics that I appreciate, which sounds cliche, but is actually very true. There's different things that I share with each of my siblings that feel really special. Not to get all mushy-gushy on you.
So Lance says, when I recorded you in black and white playing this song acoustic in the living room, did you think this would be the outcome at that time?
So Lance, back before COVID, I was here at the greenhouse and he was here and a group of us were just messing around and playing songs and he recorded me playing Wildflower on guitar, actually. And at the time, yes, this Wildflower was the song that I had planned on doing next. I didn't know what it would look like and I had no idea that it would be delayed that long because of COVID. So I didn't entirely know, but the decision for it to be my next single was already decided.
So Sunny wants to know, do you find staying active outside of doing music has helped you with music?
Have I found staying active outside of music helpful? Yes, actually. I would say there are times where if my anxiety is too high or if I'm feeling bogged down or overwhelmed by life, going out in nature and being around the mountains or going and running or exercising or going for a swim are great ways to clear my head. And clearing my head allows me, this sounds kind of opposite, but clearing my head also helps me to think and be creative in a lot of ways. So I think exercise for me and being in nature in general is typically really helpful when it comes to creating. I find myself also when I'm on really long drives having a lot of ideas pop up. So I do a lot of voice memos on my phone. It sounds really bizarre if you ever scrolled through my voice memos.
So I misread Brad's question. He wants to know what other than music inspires you recently.
Are you posting these questions up so people can see them? Yeah. Okay. Other than music, what inspires me? People inspire me a lot, actually. I'm constantly inspired and encouraged by people's resilience, people going through difficulty and thriving and overcoming struggle and hearing their stories and their resilience and getting to know how they navigate the world. So I would say people are a really big inspiration for me. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
And Bethany says the cover photo of your single is gorgeous. Who designed it?
So the photographer was Michaela Jean Photography. She goes by Michaela Jean Photography or Finding Wilder on Instagram, and she's phenomenal. The logo was designed by my dear friend Amy Matthews out of Dover, and I made the cover, I guess would be the question. So it was taken by Michaela, the logo. I worked back and forth with Amy to create it, and then I put it together to create it. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I want to encourage you, if you're on my Facebook and you don't already like and follow me, please do that. It helps significantly and it keeps you in the loop. If you are tuning in from my YouTube channel, you can do the same, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And my last advertisement of the evening is that if you want to take part in being a tribe member for Kimayo Music, I have a Patreon page. And what that means is that you get to sign up for monthly contributions to the projects I'm working on, to my music, to allowing me to create things for you and for others. And you get to decide how much that is. It could be $5, $10, $25, $50, whatever works for you. And there's different benefits that you get, from being acknowledged on videos and projects, to getting discounts on merchandise, to having behind the scenes access that no one else gets. And it also allows me to continue to cultivate connection and solidarity and hope with others, especially in the midst of COVID and music being really hard to do live these days. I'm really excited. I'm going to be ramping up what I do on Patreon this fall, so you can stay tuned for that. And I'd love for you to be part of that tribe. I think that's it. We're going to sign off. I'm so grateful to all of you that tuned in, that you are a part of this journey with me. I'm going to go celebrate now. I have so much energy. I don't know what to do with it. I went for a run before this, and I still was freaking out before we went live. It's a privilege to have you on the other end of this stream and to be able to share my music with you and to answer your questions and to spread a message in the midst of what oftentimes feels like a really dark time. But we can connect and we can create solidarity and we can bring hope to others through love and through creative expression. So much love to each of you. May you be well, may you be healthy, and I'll keep you posted on future projects. Have a great night.